Imagine you move from a place where you lived all your life. Imagine you move and you leave all your children and wife. Starting all over again, but no one you know is around. Well, they didn't have to imagine. They built it up from the ground. How does it sound? Not easy cause it isn't. Could have phased them, but it didn't. But the raid bond, that's a winner. And they ran straight to the finish. You get to know them up close and personal. Wait, just give me a minute. Welcome to the front row. Can I get a drum roll? Intentional. We may be immigrants, but we are still intentional. We are dependable. It's just that set the bar, but still the best of all, we are intentional.
Welcome to the Intentional Immigrants podcast. I am happy that you're able to join me here today. We are still on season 2, where we focus on children of immigrants. Today's guest is Portia Detterville. Portia was born to a St. Lucian mother and a Trinidadian father. Portia has 2 degrees. She actually did biological sciences, and then she switched to engineering, chemical engineering, in fact. Let's listen as Portia shares her story. Hi, Portia. Welcome to the Intentional Immigrants podcast. I am happy that you're able to join me today. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Thanks for the invites. I'm looking forward to this session.
Okay, thank you. Tell us a bit about yourself. Where do you qualify to appear on this podcast as the child of immigrants?
Okay, so I'm originally from Toronto. I was born and raised in Toronto. My mom is an immigrant. So my mom is from St. Lucia and my dad is from Trinidad. So my mom moved to Canada maybe 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. She settled in Toronto. She still lives in Toronto now. But currently now I live in Fort McMurray, Alberta.
Okay. So your mom is from St. Lucia, you said?
Yes.
And your dad is from Trinidad?
Trinidad, yes.
Okay. That's cool. So tell us a little bit about your background growing up, because right now you're a chemical engineer, am I correct?
Yes.
All right. So what was seeing that you had 2 immigrant parents, which of the 2 cultures were more dominant in your house?
So I would say I actually just grew up with my mom. I didn't grow up with my dad. So my mom's culture, like the St. Lucian culture, is what really dominated. Yeah, I do still speak with like people from my dad's side, but most of it was culturally from St. Lucia. Which is like, I feel like a lot of Caribbean islands have similar culture, but
yes,
I would say I resonated more with my mom's side. Mm-hmm. Growing up, it was definitely challenging growing up. Like my mom raised me, my twin sister, and I have an older sister, and she did it by herself. Okay. My mom came, and I don't know, I think she graduated from a high school, but she only had a high school education, came to Canada and just made a life for herself and for her kids. And I to this day, I'm just very grateful for my mom. Her presence in my life when I was younger was definitely motivation enough for me to like just pursue what I could to like make a better situation for myself and also help my mom when I got out to a better situation. Like now, like I don't know, every time I look back and I just think of how helpful my mom was, even though she didn't have a lot, she was just always helping me through situations, making sure that I had the best opportunity that I could to excel. So I'm always appreciative of that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Thank you. You said you have a twin sister and an older sister?
Yeah.
Okay. Your sister, I know twins sometimes have matching names. Is her name matching to yours?
No. So my name is Portia. Her name is Nicole. We have our middle names match. We don't really use it. But my middle name is Alice. Hers is Alicia.
Okay. Are you identical twins?
Yes, we're identical. Same heights. We smile the same. We look the exact same. Maybe the only difference is that she wears glasses, I don't wear glasses.
Okay. So growing up, did you wear matching clothes?
We did, probably up until we were maybe 8-ish. And then we just stopped. Like, we were like, no.
Yeah, you're your own person now.
Yeah.
Because that for me, that's one of the cutest things. When you see, twins and they're just matching out and all. Yeah, I like that.
But I like it too, only up to a certain age. Because like when you start to get older and you're dressing alike, I don't know, it's kind of tricky to me. I don't know.
It looks like imitation.
Yeah, I know. It's like, you don't have an individual personality thing. That's the thing I struggle with a lot as a twin, like people grouping us together, which I didn't mind, but like it kind of takes away from your individuality, kind of. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is she also a chemical engineer?
Yes, she's also a chemical engineer. We both started working out for the same company, but then I just recently like switched jobs. So she's on the same company, yeah.
Okay. that must be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. You said you grew up in Toronto.
Yes.
In your experience, how was your living situation? If it was it different from those of your classmates?
In what respect? Like for me, because Toronto's so diverse, like the friends that I grew up with, a lot of them had parents that were immigrants. Like I had a lot of friends who were Jamaicans and they were like first generation Jamaicans.
Mm-hmm.
And I like St. Vincent, people from St. Vincent, like all over the Caribbean. Those were really my friends growing up. I did have like other, like I had Asian friends, I had Indian friends, I had people, but I feel like Toronto in general is home to a lot of immigrants.
Yes,
so,
it is.
So when like, I feel like we resonated and like had similarities in, okay, my parents may not know the system as well because they haven't lived here kind of thing. So I never felt like I was out on my own or like isolated because I didn't know people had a similar situation as me.
Okay. Cool. Did you speak the dialect, the St. Lucian dialect at home? Or did your mom speak it? Do you understand it? Can you speak it?
So St. Lucian speak Creole, which is like broken French. Yeah. So my mom speaks it, but I don't speak it, but I can understand certain things that they're saying. Like if they're speaking really quickly, I'm not going to understand what they're saying. But if they're speaking a reasonable speed, I could understand. Yeah. I could say a few things, but mostly, I think most of it is understanding. I can understand.
Okay. What are some struggles or challenges you had as an immigrant's child? So your mom came here, you said, how old, about what age range was she in? Do you remember? Probably late teens, early 20s?
I think she was like mid-20s.
Mid-20s when she came? Yeah. Okay. So what would have been some of the challenges that you would have experienced as an immigrant's child? Like I think you studied at U of T, University of Toronto. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that process of getting in and what you needed to do, because your field is not very populated by women. Yeah. So that's one thing. That's one strike against you. One, you're a woman. Two, you're going into the STEM field. Yeah. So, that's not very popular amongst women. How was that experience?
I would say, so the one thing that I didn't have, and a lot, especially University of Toronto, a lot of my classmates, they came into engineering because their dad was an engineer or their uncle was an engineer. So they had like that kind of support system from the family side. So they knew what they were getting into. They had somebody to talk to, that kind of thing. That's what I feel like I didn't have growing up. Not that my mom wasn't supportive, but like when you can only support from a level that kind of. So if you don't have that background, then it's hard. Like she can point me in directions, give me suggestions, but she didn't have that background, which is like completely fine. I think that was probably one of the struggles I had initially because it was so new for both my sister and I. Like nobody in my family, I think from my immediate family, my sister and I were the first ones to graduate university. So then nobody from my family even had that like background to kind of help us
provide guidance.
Yeah. So that at that point we really had to go like seek resources of individual, like we joined a lot of extracurricular activities. And then one thing that I was really passionate about, like just knowing I was from an immigrant household and the challenges I had, I really made sure I did a lot of outreach work when I was at University of Toronto, because I knew if I had made better decisions and had more of exposure when I was in like middle school and high school, I probably would have had a better experience going into the University of Toronto. So my sister and I did a lot of outreach, like going back into like low-income areas in Toronto, because those are like high immigrant areas anyway.
Yeah.
So making sure like go to those areas, teach them about STEM, teach them about engineering, give them that like baseline so that they can make like, informed decisions when they go to high school and stuff. So it's not like I didn't feel like it was impossible. It's just when you're determined to do something, and like when I was in middle school, I was determined to like get out of that situation. Not like it was a negative situation. I don't want to say it was negative, but like I was determined to make something better of myself from that point. And I was just like straight, like I just looked straight and I did it.
Okay. So can I ask why engineering?
That's a good.
So this is a two-part question. Why engineering, first of all, and second, why chemical engineering? Okay, so the funny thing is, initially I did not want to be an engineer. When I was in high school, I graduated with the hopes of like being a pediatrician. Okay. So I actually have 2 degrees. My first degree is in biological sciences. Okay. So I was like that close to graduating and going to medical school. And then my first degree is from let me backtrack a little bit. So from high school, I wanted to be a pediatrician. I also played basketball, and I was like, I wanted to get a scholarship to go to the States. So I ended up going to the States. Okay. I got a scholarship. My sister and I both got a scholarship to attend Howard University. That's in Washington, D.C. So we both played basketball there. I did biological sciences. Up until 3rd year, I was like, okay, I'm going to study for my MCAT, write the test, go to medical school. And then I didn't have that exposure to engineering in high school. I didn't even know what it was, to be honest with you. I never knew what it was. And then it was an outreach program that I did at Howard, where we were bringing students to different universities across the US. And then we went to one school, I can't remember the school, but they started talking about their engineering program. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know this existed. So at that point, it was a difficult decision to make whether I switch over to engineering at Howard, but I couldn't because of my scholarship. It was just the way the scholarship was. I had to be making progression to my graduation. And if I switched over, then I would like be regressing. So I just finished the degree. And then I came back to University of Toronto and then went into chemical engineering because I felt like, to be honest, my idea of chemical engineering and what I actually do now is completely different. Like my initial idea of chemical engineering, I thought it was more lab-based, and when I thought of chemical engineering, I thought of pharmaceutical engineering. Okay. Which is an option. It was definitely an option. But when I got to University of Toronto, especially in Canada, chemical engineering, like in the oil sands, it's a bigger opportunity. So I went for that. Yeah. It is needed in the oil sands.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I just made that decision. Maybe my last 2 years is when I said, okay, I'll do more petroleum side of chemicals. So that's what I ended up doing.
Okay. Can I ask, do you regret that decision, changing over into chemical engineering, or do you? It's a decision that you think that you've made peace with, and that it has presented better opportunities than, say, a medical doctor. What do you think?
When I say I regret it, I remember when I came back to Toronto from graduating from Howard. Not that I regret it. The one thing I regret is that I didn't get more exposure in high school. If I knew in high school what engineering was, I would have never pushed to do medicine. Like my backing for medicine, it was just because, okay, I like helping people. Okay, let me be a doctor. Like I didn't really have a driving reason for me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I felt when it was nearing that point, I was just so undecided, and then I just switched over. But I don't regret my experience at Howard. That's the main thing. Like, I regret kind of what I studied.
The discipline that you studied.
I did. I regret the discipline that I studied, but the experience that I had at Howard, it was exceptional. Like, I feel like that school allowed me to learn a lot about myself, like in terms of culturally and that kind of thing. I think no university in Canada would have ever given me that kind of experience outside of academics. So I'm always grateful for Howard. Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy that you had a good experience there.
Thanks.
Okay, that's interesting. So did you ever use that biological sciences degree?
I worked for a medical, I mean, I wouldn't say I've ever used it, because when I came back from Howard,
yeah,
I went to University of Toronto. I took 1 year off and then went back to school. So I was in school pretty much back to back. I was in school. So.
Yes.
Yeah. I used some credits from that degree, was able to transfer over, to the engineering degree, but otherwise, I didn't really use it.
Okay. Yeah, did your sister do biological sciences as well?
No, she actually did. What did she do? Chemistry, I think. Just pure chemistry.
Just pure chemistry. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess you're both scientifically minded.
Yeah, like we've always loved science and like very inquisitive minds when we were young. Like my mom even to this day would just take apart things. And that's the weird thing. When we were younger, we would take apart things and then try to put it back together. But that was, to me, is engineering in a sense. Well, we didn't know what it was called, but we just did that when we were younger.
Okay. What are some of the high points or highlights of being an immigrant child? Yeah.
Okay. I would say for sure is having culture. I feel Canada has, I don't know, I could never really define what Canada's culture is, but Canada is so diverse. Mm-hmm. And just knowing that you have a culture outside of what is considered Canadian, I feel like that's amazing in itself. Like the food of the culture, the food for sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I love food, and then I love Caribbean food. I love what my mom's cooking. I love that aspect of it. And then also just having family outside of this country and having family in the Caribbean, getting to go see them, knowing that when you go there, it's not like you're a tourist, that you actually have roots there, kind of. Yeah. So that's amazing.
Okay.
And, I was gonna say the one other thing is, I don't know if it's necessarily immigrants, but it was like my upbringing, I grew up and it was definitely a struggle. So I know what it is to be on hard times. And I feel like it shaped who I am today. Like just knowing that no situation is permanent. I can rise up from any situation. And I think that's one thing that my mom definitely
Taught you.
Yeah.
Resilience.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been to St. Lucia?
Yes.
All right. If so, you said yes to that. If so, can you tell us your earliest memories of visiting St. Lucia and the last time you went?
So I only went twice, and they've been more recent. Like, I think the first time I went was in 2015.
So you were an adult already?
Yeah, I never went out when I was younger. I didn't go when I was younger.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So there'll be probably more recent memories. What I can remember is meeting my family, my cousins. So my mom has, I want to say she has 17 brothers and sisters. My
17?
family,
1 and a 7?
my mom has 17 brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have some aunts and uncles that have like 10, 12 kids. And those kids have kids. I have a massive family that I cannot even remember everyone's name.
Exactly.
But I remember going there for the first time and seeing everyone and seeing little kids. And I love kids. And when I saw them, they didn't even know me, but they were like so welcoming. I was so excited that time. Like I didn't even really care about where I was, but like having their presence there, I was like, wow, that was so nice.
That's nice. That's nice. So was it your mom is she the only one who came to Canada, or did she have siblings in Canada?
She had siblings in Canada. So I have, I think I have maybe 5 or 6 of my aunts and uncles that live in Toronto.
Okay.
So when my mom came to Canada for the first time, she already had like family that was here. So I had my uncle, I had my aunt, and another uncle at that point.
Okay, so that's good. At least she had family, because that's one of the loneliest times is when you come to a new country or you go to a new country and you're basically alone.
Exactly.
Yeah. At least when you have family, it's easier for you to integrate. You have that support, which is so very necessary. You have somebody to tell you which bus to take, where to find the bus stop, where to find the mall.
Exactly. Yeah, I think she definitely like leaned on her siblings at that point for sure.
At that point, okay, that's good. What are some traits or characteristics that you think as the child of an immigrant you've inherited? You mentioned resilience already. What else do you think you've inherited?
So if you have any background from another place, that additional perspective will help to kind of shape some of the decisions that you make. So I feel like that has been helpful for me, I guess. Mm-hmm. Other traits.
Risk taker.
Oh yeah.
Because
yeah, that's a good one.
Because changing or completing a degree and not continuing in that field or in that discipline, that is a higher level of risk taking than.
Yeah, and then moving to Fort Mac by myself.
And then moving to Fort Mac by yourself. Yeah, that's a mistake.
Yeah, that's actually, that is one that I would say for sure. And I feel like I'm always a risk taker. If I can see the benefits outweigh the cons, then I'll take the risk.
You'll take the risk. Okay. All right. So share a morning routine or ritual which has helped you well.
Which has helped me what?
Well.
Okay. Morning ritual. First, I wake up pretty early in the morning. That's one thing. If I wake up too late in the morning. What's
early?
Early is like 5:36.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe on a holiday, not as early, but on a regular day, 5:36. Then I try to work out in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't drink coffee, but if I work out in the morning, it's pretty much my coffee.
Okay.
It gives me enough energy to like power through the first half of the day, and then that's fine. One thing my mom always instilled in us when we were younger, the wake up in the morning, the first thing you better do is pray. Right when I wake up in the morning, I will like maybe read one of my devotionals on my phone, and then I'll pray.
Okay.
And then I'll go throughout whatever I have to do the workout in the morning. But if I have to go to site and take the bus, then I probably won't work out in the morning. So
that's a workout by itself.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Recommend a must-read book. So that's a book that you have read or are reading, which has helped you.
What's his name? What's the name of that book? Is it Total Money Makeover? I think it's Dave Ramsey. It's a financial book. So I didn't speak about this one, but financially, not that my mom was like very frugal and everything, but I feel like I did not learn as much about financials when I was growing up. So money management and that kind of thing is something that I continually try to learn about, and what to do with finances, how to cut costs, that kind of thing. Dave Ramsey, I listened to his YouTube channel and his book on Total Money Makeover. I think if you're starting out and you want to get to a better place, I think that is a good read.
You think that's a good read? Any other book?
What is the name of that one? It's slipping at the top. That one was more of a personal development one, talking about habits and how to cut bad habits. And I can't remember what the name was. Yeah.
There's one that's called Habits.
I don't think it was called Habits. I can't remember, but I generally, if I'm reading a book, it's going to be something financial. I don't usually do like, other than financial and like self-development, they're the ones that I usually tend to.
Those are the ones. Okay, that's fine. All right. What advice would you give to immigrants and their children? So this is a two-part question. One, what advice would you give to immigrants who are relocating or migrating to a new country? And two, what advice would you give to the children of immigrants?
So my advice to immigrants relocating to a new country would be, it may seem difficult at the beginning, like just know that there's going to be challenges, hurdles, but if you do an assessment and you outweigh and see that the pros of moving outweigh the costs, then definitely do it, because no situation is permanent. That is one thing that you have to always realize. No situation is permanent. When you get there, you may be feeling alone, but over time, you're going to be able to meet people. You're going to be able to be in a better position financially, maybe in every aspect. You're going to be better off in the future. And then one day, hopefully, you're able to reunite with your family back in your original country. So for sure, I'd say like no situation is permanent. Always know that the future is as bright as you allow it to get, I guess.
Okay. All right.
That would be for the immigrants.
The children. Speak to the children now.
Yeah. For the children, I would say don't take lightly what your parents had to give up to come to this country. Like, I feel like, especially some Canadians, I'm gonna include myself. Sometimes you get so caught up with the Canadian culture and just wanting and not realizing that your parents went through something very difficult, leaving everything behind, coming to a new country just to sacrifice and give you a better opportunity. So never take for granted what your parents did for you and what they are currently doing for you. And always remember that. I know, I mean, it's a tough thing. I know it's happened to other people where their parents get older and then they just forget about them, kind of thing. Never forget your parents. That one is, to me, it hurts my heart when I see like kids grow up and then they just forget their parents, and their parents they're just on their own. Just always remember the sacrifices that your parents made for you. And I personally feel like out of respect, you owe it to your parents to give them that support. If it's not financially, give them that, like visit them. Like they want your company when they get older, like you're their kid. So they want to have that companionship with you. Never feel like they don't want that. So just always remember the sacrifices that they made for you and support them as they age through time. For sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Portia. It is wonderful having you on the podcast, and thank you for sharing of your experience and tips and tricks that you have used in your own life. There's one other question I forgot to ask. I mean, you mentioned that you got a scholarship. Are there any tips you want to give to those who are entering university as to how they can go about securing some of these scholarships?
Sure. So that was, I don't know if I spoke about, I don't think I did, but when I was in high school, I knew that to get to university, I have to take out a big loan. I didn't really want to take out a loan. So I was just thinking of ways, how am I get the money to pay everything off? And I didn't really, like my sister and I didn't really start playing competitive basketball till about grade 10, until we had a conversation with one of my cousins. He's like, yeah, if you're really good, then you can get an athletic scholarship to play in the States. They'll cover everything. Their tuition, board, they'll cover your books, everything. And then my sister and I, of course, we just really wanted to go to university. We're like, okay, that's good. We put in so much work. Like we did well academically throughout high school, but on top of that, we worked part-time. Then we played basketball. Yeah, we played for our school team and we played for a team outside of school.
Okay.
Well, we knew that in the end, like our destination was to get this scholarship. So I feel like you're only limited by what you have, the mindset that you have. So when you're looking for scholarships, if athletically you think you have a shot, put in the effort and see where it goes. Get in contact with good coaches, like our coach from high school and our outside of school team. They were very supportive. They knew what we wanted to do. That was awesome. But if academically, there's tons of scholarships out there, you just have to be diligent in applying. Like you realize that there's a lot of students in situations that they need money as well. So make sure you set out a dedicated amount of time each day, apply for scholarships, make sure your applications look good. If you have an opportunity to have someone look over those applications, reach out to people who you know can help you. And the other thing is make sure you're doing your best in the high school, because your grades do eventually matter. So if you're struggling, it's better to reach out to someone earlier than later, especially in grade 9 and grade 10. It may not count towards your, like when you apply to university or college, it doesn't like that. They don't look at those grades, but that's where they teach the fundamentals. So if you don't really understand something there, make sure you sort it out before you move on to grades 11 and 12, because you need the fundamentals to be understand some of those higher level courses. But yeah, it's about dedication. I've heard I've heard stories of people applying for like hundreds of scholarships, and then they get enough money to fund them for the 4 years of school. So it's definitely doable. No, it's doable. It's dependent on your dedication to securing the finances.
Okay. Thank you, Portia.
You're welcome.
Portia, how can
Hi.
my listeners make contact with you?
So you can contact me via email. My email address is Portia, Portia .Deterville, DETERVILLE at mail.utoronto.ca.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Portia, for sharing with us today. It's nice to have a different perspective because you come with the fact that you're a twin, so you're not alone. You weren't born alone like the rest of us. So that's a good thing. Thank you very much. And I hope that you're sharing your experience is a way of encouraging others.
For sure. And thank you so much for having me on this show. I definitely appreciate the opportunity, and I hope that somebody takes something and is able to use it in their daily lives. So Thank you.
Thank you, Portia.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Thank you to today's guest, Portia Detterville, Xavier Anderson for providing music. Until next time, I am your host, Yolanda Jack, reminding you, he who watches the wind will not sow. He who watches the clouds will not reap. Ecclesiastes 11, verse 4. You were born for greatness. Step out into your greatness so that mankind can benefit from you being here. So long, until next time.
Intentional. We may be immigrants, but we are still intentional.